Hi guys, it's Jessica here for a hopefully quick doll video, but I can already tell you it's probably going to be at least 20 minutes or more. My efforts to make smaller videos, to make updates a little at a time, they just don't happen. So I'm going to try to cram as much stuff in here as possible with this update. Lots of exciting dolly things have been happening. I did that box opening from my friend Miss Mantis, two doll bodies that I had bought from her. One of them is back there, this guy here, and I'll talk more about him. There was another doll that came in though, it would have been a week ago yesterday. So today is Saturday, and yesterday was Friday, so it was the Friday before. And she came in, I opened her very quickly on my lunch break to make sure everything was okay and then rushed back to work. So she never got to have like a video just for her. So this is my MinIgenue Hurla, and right when I started to make this video, the neighbors are weed eating right along here. The dogs have been barking at them, so I apologize for that. But anyways, this is my MinIgenue. She's by Twigling, or Artifex Kindred is her new official name for the last, it's probably been almost 2 years now that that's been her official studio name, essentially. But I got this girl, I think she came in, it was very early part of 2017. She came up on the secondhand marketplace, and I'd missed the MinIgenues when they were first released. I had layaways on several SD girls, and I think I had gotten my first SD ingenue by the time that these were released. But I was still, like I said, I was still in the middle of those layaways on the bigger girls, and I just kind of always missed my opportunities. But I ended up getting this girl for actually a really good price. It was their initial prices, and I was surprised how much I love this girl. Why would I have been so surprised? Ingenue is my favorite sculpt ever, and honestly, if Reese or Twigling had released all of her dolls in this scale, I would have been just as happy, if not more happy in some ways, to have collected them all in this size, because the mini size is nice. I do think that I go back and forth. So I'm never one of those people who it's like, oh, I'm all about the MSDs. It's okay, I can have them in both scales. But this long intro, 3 minutes in, I desperately wanted another girl. And a second pre-order came up, and again, it was like right in the middle of like a bunch of other stuff, and I just couldn't do it. And she didn't get enough orders, so she canceled the pre-order. And she's moved on to another casting company, and you know, fingers and toes crossed that that pre-order might be open at some point this year. But I have been actively trying to get another one of these girls on the secondhand market for the last year. And I had several come up on the secondhand market, and I was just always just like a second late. And I just got really upset each time. So that that really let me know that it was important to me, because there's some dolls that if I missed out, I'm like, okay, well, good for my pocketbook. But each time that I would miss one of these girls, I would just be really upset about it. So I even posted on different forums and on my Instagram and such that I was wanting to buy. And people were so nice. People would send me listings. There's been like 5 or 6 that just went through my fingers, and people would send me these listings, and I'd immediately try to contact the person, and I would just always miss them. And I'm sorry, I already forgot who it was who tipped me off to this girl. She was a MinIgenue that was in the UK, and which is probably one of, I don't know, shipping from Europe has just started to become very crazy. But this is her. She was probably, by the time I contacted her, she'd maybe been, the listing that I saw was, you know, maybe a few hours old, and I think that she must have already, you know, maybe gone to bed for the night, because she was in the UK when I saw it. And so I was just like, oh, I've missed it, and I won't be able to get that girl. It's just going to be another one that I've missed. And it turns out that it just went out of my brain. Oh, the sculptor, they're a mom and son team, and they have a very new business, and they 3D sculpt and are casting heads, Phoenix dolls, and I love that Asian sculpt. I think her name is Lu, L-U-I, but I love her. I've been seeing her around. Angsty Penguin has done several face-ups that are just gorgeous. But anyways, it turned out to be her that had this doll for sale, and it's funny because she said that she had been about to message me to see if I was interested in her doll, but I guess felt bad. And I know how people. I'm the same way. Like, I don't like to, like, oh, I saw that you wanted to buy this a year ago. You know, I always feel like I'm bothering people. So that worked out really, really good. I wanted to send her a deposit right away. She was going to look up the shipping. She's like, I'll have to check on that tomorrow, and I'll get back to you. And I'm like, do you want me to put a deposit down? Like, I'm just like, I don't want to lose this girl. And she's like, no, she's yours. So that was just really fantastic. I love that I was buying the doll from her, and it just felt meant to be in a lot of ways. So, and what had been really interesting was that I had just been talking to her on Instagram maybe the day before, and yeah, so, but I didn't know her. This was on Facebook, so I didn't know her Facebook name. Yeah, it just worked out so great. It was one of those things that just felt meant to be. So very, very happy. So she is a, I guess they consider this to be the pink skin. I think that's what it said on her COA. I posted all her box opening photos on my Instagram. I'll see if I'm able to insert them in here, if I can remember to do that. But you can always see those on Instagram. I think the COAs are just so beautiful that she's been putting out. And they're always like a little bit different for the different dolls, and I like that. So she has a face-up, let's see here, I'll hide behind her. She has a face-up by a face-up artist that is in, I think she's in Eastern Europe. Her Instagram name is The Ugliest Wife, which is a really funny name, I think. I love it. But she's one of those face-up artists that I've seen her work and always would have loved to have a doll painted by her, but it's just so complicated to send dolls over to Europe because of customs fees, and I don't want to send a doll uninsured to Europe, but then you would have to pay customs fees, and so it's just not something, you know, it would just quadruple the expense, and in the end it's just unfortunately not really possible. But this doll came with a face up. And she has her sleeping face up too, which, or sleeping face plate, and it doesn't have, I'm trying to cover my face so you guys can't see me. The sleeping face plate is blank, is what I was trying to say. But so my what I had envisioned was that depending on the skin color, if it was a white skin or pink, something lighter, or even a blue skin doll, I was going to have her dyed like a really bright teal color, almost like this corset that I've made her. And it would have been perfect in a lot of ways because, of course, I'm not going to dye it. I'm going to have Miss Mantis dye it for me because there's no way I'm going to do that. She does such a good job. But it would have been ideal because she was in the UK, and so there wouldn't have been any customs fees if I'd had her mailed to Wendy in the Netherlands. And so, but I love this face up so much that I would have had, you know, the face up would have had to have been wiped, and so I couldn't do it. I loved it too much. So I still either want to get when the next pre-order comes out, depending on what the teal color looks like, we'll try to get a teal MinIgenue. A teal Pieta would be, the mini Pieta that's going to be coming out would be okay too. I'd really like my Pieta probably in a tan, or maybe another fantasy color depending on what's going to be available. But I really want a teal ingenue. So eventually that will happen. But this girl was just too pretty to wipe. So I've had her about 8 days now, and this is the corset that I made her. I had cut out all the pieces and I actually started sewing the majority of the sewing before I realized I had done my measurements wrong and hadn't cut out the right pattern, basically. But I was already like a good chunk of the way through, so I went ahead and finished it, and I actually really like the way it's turned out. It's short, which I like, because these girls have pretty short legs. She kind of went with the short leg style, because the SD girls are offered in the long or the short legs, but the MinIngenues only have the one body style, and the legs are a little shorter than maybe the original ingenue was. And to me, depending on how you dress and style her, it can make the legs look a little stubby. And I have that same problem with my SD girls with the shorter legs. So you just have to take that into account with how you dress them. So corsets that are too long, to me, just elongate that waist even more and make the legs look even stubbier. So the fact that this one was short was really nice. But she needs to wear, I would either need to put a lot of lace in here to cover up her bust, or put a little blouse or something else under there. And this was actually a blouse that I had made for my original MinIgenue when I first got her. So I haven't got to do as much sewing for her as I would like, but I did manage to finish this corset. I guess I've only had her 8 days, so I guess, but I love how the back looks. So I think she looks really pretty in this. She's wearing a, this has got to be Angora. It just has so much volume, but maybe it's alpaca. It was a wig that I got off of Etsy recently. But these Sparrow Shop antlers, I've always loved her work, and Big Hurla she's wearing a pair that I got when I first got into the hobby, and I was so excited to get a commission slot with Sparrow Shop, and so I got those. And I have another pair that I got secondhand. These she's had in her shop, I think probably since around March, if not longer. And I had them in my basket for a long time, and you know, just couldn't, like, I didn't have a specific doll in mind for them. They were just pretty. But when this gal came in, yeah, that was, I had to have them. I thought they were just going to be perfect for her. So, so she's wearing those, and they are just, she makes them out of polymer clay, and you can see the layers of, she uses like a combination of different types of polymer clays and sparkly bits, and these are probably a more tame pair than some of her work. I'd love to have more. The ears are actually separate. These are little resin ears that I got from Bliss BJD. Sorry about that. A phone call came through, so it just cuts off the video. But what I was saying was that these ears are separate, magneted on, and they're made out of resin, and I got them from Bliss BJD on Etsy. They pretty much make them to order, so it's going to be a few months before they come in when you order them, but they're very nicely made. Very nice. And I got these a while ago, earlier this year, and I've been wanting those for a long time, and finally got, you know, just decided to go ahead and order them, and they're very nice. So I kind of lost where I was at because of the phone call. Her eyes, that was something I wanted to touch on. She is wearing a pair of Doll Bakery eyes. They are 10 millimeter, small iris, low dome eyes. And that is, that's the same thing that Herla, my other MinIgenue, is wearing. Herla is wearing, I think that these are, I think they're called Hot Pink, something like that, but I just love them. And these were eyes that I waited almost 8 months for. These are probably my most favorite color. I don't know, but it's between, I like Nova. Nova is probably right up there with my favorite, but these are the really light blue. They're called Frozen. And when I when I bought this girl, it took from the time that she shipped her, and she shipped her right away, but it only took like it was almost 3 weeks, something like that. It was almost 3 weeks. Which is really crazy because usually UK is so good, but the tracking the tracking just kept updating almost every day, the same thing saying at the transfer station, you know, and I'm like, how many transfer stations? Where is the transfer station? And she was trying on her end to figure out, you know, where the heck it was, and so I don't know if it's one of those things that like where they say it's going to arrive this day, okay, you know, I just won't care about it. But when it's like, is it lost? I just hate shipping dolls. It's so stressful. I stress out so much about it, and there's just nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do about it. So she did show up. Everything was fine. Yep, she showed up, and I have that USPS. You can have an account, and they tell you the things that are delivered that day. It's terrible though, because it pretty much never ever tells me any of the dolls that I buy that are coming from overseas. It never shows up. It never ever shows up on the tracking. But it had said that I had a package delivered that morning, and it said it came from New York, and well, that was weird. Well, it was this girl. That's how wonky the tracking was. It said she came from New York, and it's like, no, she came from the UK. Yeah, she's super gorgeous. I'm so in love with this girl. So the next thing that I need to do, and I'll probably do that this weekend, is I'm going to go ahead and suede her. She does have a few spots of where somebody had put in Moleskine and then some hot glue sueding, which definitely helps with these girls, but you need to suede these twiggling dolls. And I'm not talking about hot glue sueding. You need to get in there with real suede, or a good quality faux suede, but you got to get in there and do that with all the joints, or you're just going to struggle with these dolls. Right now she can't sit without falling back. She can't stand, her knees buckle, and I had the same issue with my with this girl, and I think that she was the first doll that I went in and, you know, did a full sueding that way. And I don't think I never did go in and do her arms. Did I? No, I didn't. Because they were pretty good, but her knees and her hips and her torso, you absolutely have to suede them, or she won't sit and stand properly. And a lot of the MinIngenues, there was like 2 or 3 different waves, and the wave that basically was for L doll, Reese sueded all of those dolls. So they were more expensive because of that, because that's a lot of work. But you have to. I know people have messaged me about, you know, that they can't get their twiglings to sit and stand properly, and I'm like, you have to suede them. You just have to. And I'm not talking about hot glue sueding. That's just not going to cut it. You have to suede them. It's the difference between having a doll that functions properly and you can pose and do stuff with, versus one that you have to lay down. So it's just, but if you do that, you have a doll that just poses beautifully and is a very sturdy stander and can do different poses. And I love my twiggling dolls. Like, I've said it again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. They are, in my opinion, the most beautiful female BJD bodies that are out there, and the best posing, but you have to suede them. So beautiful girl, totally love her. Right now I'm name-wise, I'm kind of thinking of, I don't know if this is the correct pronunciation, but it's Ambre, and I have a hard time saying it. It's basically the French version of Amber, and I don't know if Google Translate is giving me the proper pronunciation of that, but I like that. I like that pronunciation. That's how I want her name to be. I think it's like, it doesn't come across that in spelling, but I think it suits her really well. It's A-M-B-R-E. So if there's any French people out there that can correct me, that's kind of what I'm thinking about for her. Really, really love this girl. Character-wise, I'm not sure who or what she is at this point. I have some ideas. We'll see. It's just going to kind of how other things play out, the dolls that are coming in and the relationships that they make. I think I will go ahead, I'll make this a video on its own, just basically devoted to my new MinIngenue girl, because she is pretty special. Because I think this video is almost 30 minutes. And I will do a separate update for the other updates I had, which was basically sewing updates and some other dolls. Okay. All right, thanks guys. I'll see you in a bit. Bye bye.